Here's how to install Thule's Sidearm Bike Rack using the instructions that can be hard to follow. This is brought to you by The Kindness Travels. First, let's take a quick look at all of the hardware that you'll want to have laid out. You'll find 3 different sizes of carriage bolts, but you only need to use one size. So flip to the back of the instructions to determine the size you'll be using. We should have used the medium size for our arrow blades. Step 1. The black square base is already attached. You need to remove it by taking off the bolts and sliding it off of the carrier. Step 2. Take 2 of your carriage bolts and place them into the end holes on the base. The instructions say to flip over the whole unit to do it, but we left it upright and propped it like so. That way we could slide the carrier right back on. Step 3. Now you need to re-secure the base to the carrier exactly 16 inches from the end. Go ahead and re-tighten the bolts that you just removed. Keep in mind, the base may shift as you're tightening these, so you're going to want to re-measure to make sure you're still 16 inches from the end. You can see we weren't, so we had to loosen them and readjust a bit. This is where having 2 people comes in handy, so that one can hold the measuring tape while the other adjusts. We found that sliding the carrier was easier than sliding the base. Tighten up and one more check. Perfect. Step 4 has 3 parts to it. For all of them, you're going to be working on the opposite end from where you were securing the base. So as you follow along on these steps, make sure that you are working on the other end, the rear of the carrier, not the front. Step 4B, you'll be securing the back wheel strap. Make sure that the buckle is facing outward so that when you're putting your bike on the carrier, you can actually reach the buckle. We had to flip ours later. Step 4C, we actually couldn't get this piece to stay on by itself, but here's what it looks like if you follow the instructions. Ta-da! Step 5 is quite easy. Just line up the rubber gaskets for all 3 pairs. They quite simply fit together like so. Step 6 really should be broken into multiple steps. First of all, you're going to take the rubber gaskets and slide them onto the carriage bolts that are sticking up out of the carrier. Make sure that the curved end is facing up at this point, because when you turn over the carrier to put it on your car in a moment, you want the curved end to be laying on the bars. When you flip the carrier up onto your car, set the front first, then slide the back gasket into place. Now this is still step 6. Slide the metal bracket up onto the carriage bolts from under the bar, then tighten with the knobs. Right now you're using the shorter ones. They're called the 3-wing low knobs. For step 7, you'll be using that 3rd rubber gasket pair. Go ahead and slide it underneath of the base on the back side, and then drop your carriage bolts down in there. You'll have to work to get them to line up through the metal bars and the rubber gaskets. This time, use the 3-wing high knobs to tighten on the metal bracket, not the 3-wing low knobs. Step 8, use the last 2 low knobs to install the rear hardware. You'll notice that on my car, I also have a storage cargo box. So it's important that my bike rack be pushed all the way over to the passenger side. That way there's enough space to mount the bike. Now we're skipping ahead past the steps to install locks on your rack. With or without locks, and I definitely recommend them, you're ready to mount your bicycle on the rack with steps 12 and 13. First, you need to move the sidearm out of the way. You can see that the ratchet is adjustable when it's not locked. Go ahead and push it all the way down and grab your bicycle. I drive a small Ford Fiesta, but I'm out of shape and only 5 feet. So you'll notice that I use a step stool for this part. It folds up flat so I can keep it in the car at all times. With hard work and practice, even I managed to get the bike up on the rack all by myself. The bike should be positioned so that the front wheel sits secured in the front metal loop. Then pull the ratchet up and tightly secure it down on the front wheel. My basket got in the way of securing it tightly, which did turn out to be a problem on the highway. Oops! And now we've reached the final steps, securing the back wheel using the strap. Go ahead and feed it through the bike, push it through the buckle, and then clip it down nice and tightly. Well, there you have it, folks, your Thule Sidearm Bike Rack. It's really not that tough to install once you get past those instructions. I'd recommend having 2 people, at least 30 minutes, and patience. Have fun! It took us 1 hour to install the bike rack and 1 day to make this video. And now we've got a lifetime of promoting kindness through our travels. Visit thekindnesstravels.com for more videos, blog entries, and to track our journey to all 50 United States.